So let everybody know, DTM is just an acronym. If you do not understand it, you need to earn that. What is DTM, how it is done, and what DTM have done to each and everybody's life. So let's start with the interview. I'm sure, and all these questions, I have watched a lot of his podcast, so none of the questions are repeated. Few might have been repeated, but these questions is just prepared by myself so that we get a true Shyam sir response. So the first question to Shyam is, tell us who you are beyond this title and achievements.
I am a normal human being, a proud father, a proud family man, a proud son, a proud husband, and everything that a normal human being at the age of 61 can do. That's what I am.
Only 61, okay. Great. So what was Shyam at the age of 10, 20, 30, 40 and 60? We don't know. We don't know about 60. We know already, right? So
I was just listening to a speech, right, at the age of 10. Yeah, I was a dreamer. Not exactly in the big world outside. In a small little town that I grew up. It was way down south in Tamil Nadu, called Neyveli. A small little town. And I was in a school, and whatever the teachers taught me was the world to me. And what I looked beyond was something, I mean, I would watch, at the age of 10, I would watch a plane flying above and would think whether I would be sitting on it one day, whether it was possible. That was the thoughts that as a 10-year-old I was. But at the age of 20, I was in my third year of college. I was studying in the state of Rajasthan, in Bits Pilani. Again, a culture shock, moving down all the way from the south to the western part of India. But that's where probably my wings actually started soaring, because that college gave me the brand to push me to the limits. At the age of 30, I was well entrenched in my first job. I was in a public sector. Again, moved to the western part, to the eastern part of India. I was in Bihar, which taught me a lot of things, which gave me a lot of experiences. But yes, I was married by 30, and probably I was a cricketer. I was playing for Sale as well. So got a lot of things already going. But there was, as I told you, the dreams were still in my mind and keeping on going. So as I grew up again, I started reading. And that's where probably things changed a lot in my mind. Till that time, it was all about whatever was the set pattern that was flowing in life. But once I started reading great books, that is where things started crystallizing. I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. In those days, I couldn't. There were a lot of obligations. But slowly and steadily, I came to Mumbai, the city of dreams.
at 40.
42, yes, in the 40s. That was when I came in. But I worked only for 4 years in Mumbai. And for 21 years, I was in metal, and then I developed an allergy to metals. That's why I moved to the Middle East, where I got a chance to go into petrochemicals. I was an instrument engineer, so I always wanted to explore my field even more. Probably that was when I moved into the 50s, 40s to 50s, I was in the Middle East, I was in Saudi, and those were the best 8 years of my life. Professionally and personally, I grew as a person because of Toastmasters. 2008, I first came to know about Toastmasters. And that's where I started getting my solid connections, my mentoring, and all the stuff. And later on, at the age of 51, I decided to move back to India, again due to personal reasons. And since then I have just taken up entrepreneurship, and I'm living a dream as an entrepreneur. So this is how I can sum up my last.
Thank you. So we got to know at 10 you was a dreamer like us, most of us, right? 20 doing a degree, 30 got married like most of us, 40 still thinking on how
midlife crisis.
Right, midlife crisis, and now you can see how a successful person he has become. So anybody who is still stuck, you know you are on the right path. Okay. So let me move to the next question. Talking about Toastmasters, 18 years of experience, 2008, 2026. So what were you doing when you first walked into a Toastmasters meeting 18 years ago?
fond memories actually, because many of you know this, but some of you are new don't know this. I was pushed into a meeting because a person who brought me there didn't want to be a Toastmaster. He was a guest being pestered by someone to come to a meeting. That guy, he came to know that I was interested in speaking, so Shyam, come along. So I came, I got impressed by the speeches, he moved out and I became a member. That was how I became a Toastmaster. So, I mean, if you ask that, that was, but in the first meeting itself, I got overawed by the speakers. The club was named Arabian Toastmasters Club. It was in Jubail in Saudi Arabia. And that club already had 8 distinguished Toastmasters that time. I thought I could be a speaker, but I literally got afraid looking at the quality of speeches that was on the stage. People were amazing speakers. Engineers like any one of us, all of us, because in Jubail it's an industrial city, so most of them were engineers who used to be related to Toastmasters. Amazing speakers, and luckily one of the speakers turned out to be a mentor to me, and in fact this morning I had a 35-minute conversation to the same mentor, distinguished Toastmaster Suresh Kumar, who is now in Qatar and is moving back to Saudi again. But yes, that was how the first initial impression of Toastmasters was.
Great, thank you. So, what made you stay after that meeting? We have already heard about it, but what is that particular thing which made you stay?
See, every time continuing, every year when I renew, I normally take membership for a year. Even in Kharghar Toastmasters, when I get an opportunity, I renew for the year. Why? Because I'm committed for that year. Now, initial years, I was doing it because probably in Saudi that was the only getaway for a family time and a community time. Got it, right? Because there was no much things to do outside of the work. A lot of time was free. 8 hours a day was work, so you got so much of time free, but then the Toastmasters enabled you to practice speeches. But in the Toastmasters meeting, what used to happen, they were meeting after the meeting, like we do in Kharghar now. And there we had that camaraderie developing. We were discussing about speeches, we were discussing about families, so the families were involved, the kids were involved. When the meetings were happening, the kids were out, okay, because kids were not allowed in the meeting, they were playing somewhere. After the meeting, dinner was open. And that continued over my 8 years of time. So it was not only Toastmasters for ourselves, it's also time for the family. Probably that was what kept me continuing as a Toastmaster and growing as a speaker, not as a leader, as a speaker. Coming back to India, again, I was looking for those clubs, and I had a very interesting incident when I first started looking for the club. I searched for an online, in the online this thing before coming from there. And I found Agnel Toastmasters in Washi. So I went to the website and wrote a mail to them saying that I am so and so, I want to continue my membership in Washi. They were doing their 100th meeting, okay, 2016. And I got a response. It was a celebratory meeting. They said, the attendance is full, you are not invited for this, you are invited for the 101st meeting. So it was a shock for me. But I went to the 101st meeting and there I met Ron Billy Moria. So that's how I started, and Mumbai was a totally different story altogether. See, again, because I think this could be a question that you had in mind, a big difference, between the Middle East and Mumbai. It was a culture shock actually. In the Middle East, Rowan ma'am will be attesting to that. Everything is in formals. You need to be in a coat and a suit and a boot and a tie and everything. Otherwise, you are not allowed into the meeting. It's so strict in the Middle East. Meetings has a parliamentarian. You are not supposed to speak anything other than you are just supposed to listen and do what your role is. No questioning, all those kind of things. And here in Mumbai, I find the first meeting, I find a person come and give a speech in shorts. So, but then, yeah. But the quality of the speeches and the diversity of the people present, like here, there it was only engineers, otherwise. Here we have chartered accountants, to lawyers, to doctors, to everyone coming in and students. So it was, and that kept me growing. So I started developing new networks. That kept me and keeps continuing. And over a period of time, I became a distinguished Toastmaster, and I'm still enjoying the journey. I'm still learning.
Great. Thank you, Shyam. Couple of things for the new ESCOM. You need to have a family time to have more members and keep senior members to continue with this club, okay? So
We can sell ourselves.
Okay, then moving to the next question, and you've already answered in some way. So, did you join Toastmasters, or once you joined, what were you more affiliated to, or what were you more looking into? As a speaker, growing as a speaker, or a leader, or somebody else?
I joined Toastmasters only to become a better speaker.
Better speaker.
For sure.
Okay.
Leadership came later on. Why? Because the professional life also is important, right? So when you have a role in any organization, it is not very easy to commit yourself full time to become a leader. If you become a president of the club, or if you become an area director, or if you go upwards in your leadership journey, it demands certain amount of time. And if we are not able to devote that much time into that role, better not to become. That was my clear feeling actually. So every time I got an opportunity, I was serving within the club. I like being part of the club. I like to be. I was the president first, and then a VP education of that club. By the way, I did the reverse thing. Though I became the sergeant trumps like Somnath first, then I became the president, and then I became the VP education because I wanted to learn what VP education is. President of the club is the easiest job. The VP.
I agree.
So, but then, if you have to grow as a person, you have to take that VP education. Right? So, because that is where you learn the nuances of how to run a meeting actually, and eat meeting after meeting after meeting. So that's where. And so, coming back to the question, yes. But finally, after 15 years in Toastmasters, it's not only Toastmasters who started asking, why are you a distinguished Toastmaster? Not only the Toastmasters, even my family started asking. And that's where, how you become a distinguished Toastmaster is, you not only go through the speaking path or the communication path, you also go through a leadership path. You need to take up leadership outside the club. You have to become an area director, and a lot of other things you have to do. You have to become a club mentor, a club coach. So many things are involved in becoming, you have to tick a lot of boxes. So it's not only communication. That's where 2 years prior to this, I mean not last term, the previous term, I decided to become an area director. And that's where leadership started. Though I thought, I mean, because see, if you continue to be a Toastmaster for 15, 16 years, everyone thinks you are a distinguished Toastmaster.
So that's where my next question is. So ideally, for new members who do not know about DTM, DTM, so Toastmasters started, it's a 100-year-old organization, and the things have evolved. So when I did my DTM, it was a 40-speech project which I had to complete, plus the leadership role which I have to do, not within the club, outside the club as well. So during that time, I completed all those things and completed DTM. But during Shyam sir time, it was different. We had everything digitalized. We have 2 parts to complete, plus the club coach, so and various other things, plus the area director role, right? So my question to you is, I have seen, right, people getting the DTM in 2 years, 3 years. Why you took so much of time? I mean, when you said that in Arabian Toastmasters Club we had 8 DTMs, probably the next DTM could have been in 4 years' time. So why you took around 18 years to complete your DTM?
The distinguished Toastmaster Jidanand was telling about the older path, not the pathways, the traditional path, which had 40 speeches. I had completed 37 speeches in that.
Wow.
It was called Competent Communicator, Advanced Communicator Bronze, Advanced Communicator Silver, Advanced Communicator Gold. Each of them had 10 speeches. So that's why 40 speeches. Now completing this 40 speeches and taking up an area director role would have given me DTM those days. But again, it was a conscious decision because I didn't feel that I could give enough time to that. For sure, I was in a particular job wherein though it was only 8 hours work, I would have to be needed to be in the plant whenever the plant needed me. So if I am in a meeting somewhere and if I get a call, I need to go. So which means that I cannot commit myself. And that's what I would also take, see, this is what is very important on a personal level. See, it's all about person. Like as you said, people have become DTM in two years. There were people in our club, I mean one of the persons, he has taken the name, but one person became a DTM. He completed 8 speeches in a span of 2 days. That was online. You could go attend a meeting in Philippines, you could attend a meeting in the US, completed 2 speeches, 3 speeches in a day, in 2 days. It was 2 days left for that term to be over. If that speeches were completed, he became a DTM. It's possible. So it is. But I always feel, I tell people, some of my members here, also my mentors, that if you are giving speeches, if you are giving a speech today, and if you are giving a speech after maybe a month, your second speech should always be better than the first speech. Otherwise, you are not improving as a speaker. It is not the number of speeches you give. Numbers are all there to be ticked. But ideally, internally, you know, right? Are you becoming a better speaker? Are you becoming a better leader? And I was not ready for that as a leader. And as I said, when the student is ready, teacher appears. It was probably the destiny of Karga Toastmasters Club for me as well to become a DTM leader. That's it. That's it.
You should have an applause for that. Thank you for sharing that. I have also witnessed many mentees during my leadership journey. I want to give speeches back to back. I want to complete 2 speeches or 2 projects within 6 months. My first question was, what are you trying to achieve? It is impossible. If you just want to come here, give speech and go, that's fine.
This platform is there.
Yeah, but if you want to improve as a person, you have to give time to that. Which leads to the next question, and I think this is something which relates to everybody. 18 years of your Toastmaster journey plus successful entrepreneurship journey. I'm sure that there are toughest time as well, right? So how did you manage that?
In Toastmasters?
In Toastmasters.
Of course, I think whoever was there in ABTM's last meeting, one of my toughest time as a Toastmaster was deeply personal, emotional. 2012, I was already past president of the club. I had just taken up the role as the stage direction committee chair for a division conference there. The stage direction committee of a conference is whatever happens on stage is under me. You got it? So in a conference, if any speaker comes on stage, moves off stage, interludes, award ceremonies, everything to go seamlessly, that flow has to be determined by me. In the meantime, unfortunately, my mom was diagnosed with cancer, and I also had to keep coming to Trivandrum, that is in Kerala, where the treatment was going on, off and on. And that was one of my lowest points because she was really struggling, and ultimately in 2012 she passed. Now, when you are at the lowest point in your life, it is very difficult, right? You are already part of a Toastmaster, you are taken up a responsibility and you don't want to do anything. But of course, my mentors, my group of support system in Toastmasters as well as outside told, you need to continue, take up that role with full gusto. And I took up that role with full gusto. In the sense like morning to evening, I was just thinking about that, only that. And in May, ultimately, my mom passed on February 3rd, and May 15th was the conference. Till that time, the shock of my mom's passing did not get to me physically, internally. But then time is the best healer. So over a period of time, that really helped me come over my grief, as I say. So that is probably my lowest point and a difficult point in my life. The next one was, of course, Toastmasters, and then what else? That was a difficult thing, right? Otherwise, Toastmasters is always, we are always in a group of people who are going to be positive, supportive, learning, all those kind of things, not jolly good time. So you'll never feel, if you're really into it, you'll never feel disappointed.
But have you ever thought of giving it up?
Probably that was one time. Otherwise, no, the thought has never come across of giving up. For me, for sure. I have been, and I will remain a Toastmaster till the end of my life, till wherever it takes me, till Toastmasters is there, for sure.
Another question, and especially this is something from where I come from, right? So, I've done my bit, I've taken a break. Now, when I'm coming back onto the stage, I feel a little bit nervous, right? And probably now you are into that stage, right? So, once you're an agent director and very good speaker across, have you ever felt nervous?
I still feel nervous. Every time I step on stage, there is butterflies in my stomach. Because as you said, ultimately, each day is different. We are humans, we are with emotions. We are wired every day to face things differently. So you can be confident you can show that, but unless you are prepared, even when I come, though you shared questions, I know what I need to say, right? I come prepared for everything. If you are not prepared, you are going to fail on stage, for sure, come what may. It is obvious, but what happens is when we are on stage, when we are given a responsibility, when we keep talking, we need to be very clear with what has to come forward. If in a meeting today, if I have to do a role, I have to come prepared. So that is the most important thing in any. That's how I carry myself forward.
Have you ever fumbled in a speech? I mean, have you forgot?
I forgot. I keep even in the club level contest, I forgot. There are lines. There are lines that you forget. You come what way, you prepared multiple lines. The punch points you forget. But how do you overcome that without the others knowing is the key. And that comes over practice and over a period of time. It cannot come first time. I am sure but when you go to higher levels, like you go to the